We have to celebrate the work so far of our farmers. They are our unsung heroes. They supply the 3 meals that we consume a day. Their relevance and importance is immeasurable.
Let's continue to celebrate our food producers this Farmers Month by buying Jamaican. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Your Homegrown Magazine program starts right now.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Monday, April 9. Residents of Chapelton and neighboring communities in Clarendon now have a newly renovated family court. Located at the Chapelton Courthouse, the upgraded facility will offer legal and support services relating to adoption, child care and protection, counseling, custody and maintenance, domestic violence, guardianship and youth delinquency. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the court's renovation will serve as the standard by which others are either built or upgraded.
My hope is that within the next couple of years, all the courts will be first world courts. We have started already, and we are ensuring that every Jamaican can have access to justice.
The court was refurbished with funds provided by the Canadian government and the European Union.
By 2020, 4 additional courts will be provided under our funding, all of them in rural areas, and that will make a total of 9 across the island.
In the meantime, the Portfolio Minister says another 4 justice centres will be opened by the end of April in Manchester, Westmoreland, Trelawney and St. Mary. And Chief Justice Brian Sykes says court management will also be improved by the recent appointment of 3 additional judges to serve in the Court of Appeal and approval for the posts of 10 parish court judges.
We have received 22 additional judicial clerks. Those posts have been approved and funded. Still a bit short, but it's more than what we had before. And almost every judge will be able to have a judicial clerk. So that will eliminate one of the reasons given for the delay in judgments.
Recently appointed National Security Minister Horace Chang says he is determined to see the Jamaica Constabulary Force become fully agile, motivated and enjoying the confidence of the public. He says these 3 elements are critical to transforming the JCF and securing Jamaica's people, her borders and assets.
Public confidence and trust in the force must be improved. I believe that a motivated force of men and women who are inspired to serve will in turn build confidence and trust among the people they serve. Agility will increase as we assess how we allocate resources to this force and how we train and select our officers.
Dr. Chang was speaking on Saturday during a church service in honor of the JCF's 150 years of service to Jamaica. The National Security Minister has also given a commitment to provide the Jamaica Defence Force, JDF, with the resources it needs to bolster its capabilities. He pointed to the JDF Coast Guard as one of the areas for immediate attention.
The JDF is the primary agency for air sea rescue mission on our coastal areas, and in that area they have been depleted over the years. We have taken steps to restore the capacity in that area, and they may still need more activity and more support in that area.
Minister Chang was speaking to JIS News following a tour of facilities and meetings with high-level staff at Up Park Camp on Friday. On that tour, he visited the Technical Training Institute and Joint Information Operations Center, meeting with some of the youngsters being trained as part of the National Service Corps of Government's LEGS program.
Their training program still needs support. They have been doing it on their own resources. and they have an excellent institution operating, and we need to give them support to continue to expand it.
Dr. Chang was accompanied by Minister of State Rudyard Spencer on the tour, which was led by Chief of Defense Staff Major General Rocky Meade. The National Works Agency, NWA, has started a $184 million road patching program across the western parishes of St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and Hanover. Community Relations Officer for the NWA's Western Region, Janelle Ricketts, says the project is part of efforts to improve the road network across the region. The work targets several roadways, including the Adelphi to Kent Corridor in St. James, the Wakefield to Friendship Main Road in Trelawney, the Whithorn to Darlaston Roadway in Westmoreland, and the stretch of road from Askanish to Kew Bridge in Hanover. Ms. Ricketts says the program will focus on the worst affected sections of these roadways. This latest effort by the NWA is one portion of a $1 billion island-wide hot mix patching program. And finally, Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Audley Shaw, is welcoming news that Red Stripe may further boost local cassava production for use in its breweries over the next few years. The minister was speaking during a recent tour of Red Stripe Heineken Jamaica's state-of-the-art production line at its brewery on Spanish Town Road. The company invested $2.16 billion in the Line 8 facility, which was commissioned in October last year.
It's really inspiring to watch what's happening here. And to see that you have a major program going now with cassava as part of your raw material, where you're involving over 100 farmers so far. And with our discussions, we are hoping that over the next few years, you'll significantly expand your cassava production in Jamaica.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
So you need to have your criminal record expunged. The first step is to make an application in writing. Just visit the customer service section in the Ministry of Justice and collect the application form, or download a copy from the ministry's website. You will need to complete 2 copies of the application form and submit them, along with 2 letters of recommendation, fingerprint impressions, and the payment of $3,000 for the expungement service. This fee may be paid to the customer service desk at the ministry or at any tax office island-wide. The expungement process helps individuals who committed minor offenses and who have sincerely and successfully attempted to abide by the law to reintegrate into society. Employability in industries such as education, tourism, security, and transportation require a clean police record. So having convictions removed from one's records can increase an individual's earning capacity. The process is also beneficial for persons interested in migrating or working overseas. So start the process today. Visit the Ministry of Justice to have your record expunged.
The major news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister comes your way next.
Consensus reached at renewed Vale Royal talks. Case made for technical and vocational training. And Winnie Mandela remembered as a champion of freedom. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. Last Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness had constructive dialogue with the parliamentary opposition during the first in a series of renewed Vale Royal talks. Frank and in-depth discussions were held, centering on national security, crime, violence and public safety. Voter re-verification as well as parliamentary procedures and committees were also discussed. Prime Minister Holness and Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, agreed that several draft policies and bills would be shared for future discussions. Both sides decided that the Electoral Commission of Jamaica would provide a plan within a month on how to ensure the maintenance of clean voters' lists. There was also a decision to consider the inclusion of private sector, church and civil society groups periodically to participate in the dialogue on crime, violence and public order. On Thursday, Prime Minister Holness announced government's plan to focus primarily on technical and vocational training this fiscal year. He said these were critically linked to the nation's growth.
The truth is that we have industries that are growing at a faster rate that we can supply them with labor.
The Prime Minister said his administration had already started the process with the merger of the National Youth Service, the Jamaican Foundation for Lifelong Learning, and Heart Trust NTA. He said that push was further bolstered by this year's increased budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Education. Mr. Holness called for increased technical and vocational apprenticeship.
We must garner, we must hone, take charge of and train those young people, because they can immediately provide, in a short period of time, the labor force that we need to drive the new growth industries in our country.
The Prime Minister was speaking at an appreciation function for his former advisor and principal of Spalding's High, Alphonsus Davis.
I'm a better person to have benefited from the guidance and direction and fatherly advice of Alphonsus Davis. He's a humble man. He is an honest man. He's a caring man. He's a committed man. He is truly a great Jamaican.
Upon hearing of the death of Winnie Mandela, Prime Minister Andrew Holness conveyed condolences on behalf of the people of Jamaica to the nation of South Africa. In a tribute to Mandela, Mr. Holness said Jamaica had lost a friend, inspiration, and champion of freedom. Winnie Mandela passed away on April 2. She was 81 years old. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. We return next time with the latest news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
The Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology is now accepting applications for the 2018 National Innovative Competition under the theme Recognizing Excellence in Innovation. Submit entries to any of our 11 categories to win cash grants and trophies. Applications must bear the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office's JIPO seal to indicate authenticity of submission. Applications must be mailed or delivered to Mrs. Andrea Carr, Coordinator for the Innovation Awards Secretariat at the Scientific Research Council, SRC. For more information, call 1-876-927-1771 or visit the SRC website www.src.gov.jm. Application closes Monday, April 30, 2018.
When persons are having seizures, do not put any object in their mouths. Do not bring scallion or put a dirty sneaker over their faces. Watch this next feature and find out what to do.
What do Socrates, Theodore Roosevelt, Charles Dickens, Alfred Nobel, Prince, Lil Wayne, Elton John, Danny Glover, and Hugo Weaving all have in common? If you said they're all famous, that's not quite the answer I'm looking for. All these prominent figures are believed to have or had what many know as fits or seizures associated with epilepsy, one of the oldest and least understood medical conditions.
It is not dopey take you over, it is not spirits. We have these myths that we do need to dispel in Jamaica. Some people think it's contagious, and it is not contagious. You cannot catch epilepsy. Anyone, anytime can get epilepsy.
So, what is epilepsy? It's a disorder of the brain characterized by recurrent seizures, which are short periods of involuntary movements involving a part of the body, a partial or focal seizure, or the entire body, a generalized seizure. Our brains run on electricity, which is produced by cells called neurons. In some people, these neurons sometimes produce a sudden electrical burst or power surge, resulting in a seizure.
Epilepsy is a chronic disorder, just like asthma or diabetes. It's a disorder of the brain. And so when a patient has a seizure, they do have unusual behavior at the time of their seizure. But otherwise, they're usually quite normal. It's also not a mental illness. People with epilepsy are not crazy. It's a brain disorder, but it's not a mental illness.
The cause of epilepsy can be genetic.
meaning that you can be born with a genetic disorder that predisposes your brain to be abnormally wired, and that you are more likely to produce these epileptic discharges and have seizures recurrently. Sometimes you may have, when the baby is being formed in the first few months of their embryological life, you may have an abnormality happening with the brain formation.
Then, there are other conditions that can occur at any time during someone's life that can cause epilepsy.
Those conditions that are acquired would be those related to a physical injury to the brain or an infection in the brain, such as meningitis, which is an infection of the covering around the brain, or an encephalitis, which is an infection of the brain substance itself, as well as you may have stroke, decreased blood supply, nutrients going to the brain, also causing seizures and epilepsy.
Seizures do not always involve convulsions or jerking of the body. There are in fact over 20 different seizure types. Many are quite subtle, as in the case of 12-year-old Liana.
We found out when she was about 3 months old. It was something very subtle. We found out that she was just staring in one direction for probably a minute or two, keeping that stare.
For Marvin Fullerton, his experience was different.
I first found out in 1994, November 1994, when I was in technical high school. What I did was feeling some itching on my skin. I went to the school nurse, asked her what was wrong with me, and she told me that I need to change my bath soap. Right.
And what happened after that?
Well, I changed my bath soap and nothing really changed after. But it was January 4, 1995 when I had my first attack. And I woke up in my father's car going to hospital.
Even though he was soon diagnosed with epilepsy, Marvin was able to live a normal life for most of his years as a student.
I was able to go to school. I was put on simple medications such as Tegitol CR 200. No problem. It was easy taking it. It prevented me from having an attack, but my body was not having much problems at those times.
Marvin went on to attend the Vocational Training Development Institute, VTDI, and the University of Technology. He holds a diploma in architecture and construction management. But despite his academic achievements, he still has challenges gaining employment.
I'm not working right now because it was just the other day I was in the hospital. Right, and I got an interview for a job. The interview was wonderful, but I was in the hospital, so the job somewhat got turned down. They found out about the situation and I got turned down.
Unfortunately, there are those who believe that persons with epilepsy cannot work or lead normal lives.
Most people, 70 to 80% of people with epilepsy can have their seizures controlled. It's the person you employ who you don't yet have their first seizure. Those are the ones that you should be worried about, because any of us can develop epilepsy for different reasons at any time.
If you believe someone is having a seizure, there are some things you should never do.
Do not put any objects in the mouth. Do not put a spoon to hold the tongue down. Do not bring scallion. Do not take a dirty sneaker and put over the face.
So then, what should you do?
You need to cushion their heads. Whether you have a cushion or a jacket, you can take off and make a cushion just to support the head so they don't damage themselves. You loosen, if it's a man with a tie, loosen his clothing so that he can get some air and he can relax. You turn the person on the side. Do not put them with their heads right back. Turn them on their side and the tongue will fall and any fluids of the mouth will drain out to the side. And I guarantee you, you cannot swallow your tongue. A seizure would take between 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if the seizure continues for more than 5 minutes, you should take that person to the hospital.
Anti-seizure medication is the most commonly used method to control seizures. Discounts are available for epilepsy patients who are registered with the National Health Fund. But there are side effects. Some persons experience weight gain, drowsiness, irritability, skin rashes, and blood platelet changes, among others, all of which require understanding from those around them. Then, there is also medical marijuana or medical cannabis.
It seems to have helped a number of, especially children with epilepsy that have been intractable, that is difficult to treat. But in Jamaica, we still need legislation in order to use it, and there's still a lot of research that needs to be done about the dosing of the CBD or cannabidiol to be used to treat epilepsy, but it surely seems as though it may be promising.
Research has also shown that diets such as a ketogenic diet can help control the onset of epileptic seizures. The Jamaican Association for Epilepsy offers support for persons with epilepsy and their families. The association also holds regular meetings with members at the Andrews Hospital to share experiences and discuss concerns. They can be contacted at telephone 968-8274 or email jaepilepsy@gmail.com.
If you're watching the JIS, you're always in the know when it comes to government information and news. Keep watching, keep informed, and tell your friends. JIS, your #1 source for government info.
The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, has extended the validity of all voters' IDs. Yes, I said it. All voters' IDs are valid until December 31, 2019. Businesses are being asked to continue to accept voter ID cards as a valid form of identification. Don't worry, the ECJ will continue to process new and replacement ID cards until the new expiration date. For more information, call toll-free at 1-888-991-8683 or email eojinfo@eoj.com.jm. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, committed to free and fair elections.
By chance, did you visit any heritage site this past Easter? Get the facts on how the metals at these sites are so well preserved.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Headquarters House, home of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. We're going to take you through some of the ropes in the methods in conservation, so please come along with us. Thanks for joining us in our conservation lab. We have here working with us Mr. Darrington Ferguson as well as Mr. Frank Gale, and we'll be looking at some of the methods they will be applying to different material types for the preservation of our material culture of Jamaica. First of all, we have here some cannonballs that are usually found with some extent of corrosion. Mr. Ferguson is actually removing mechanically some of the concretion from a cannonball, and after he has removed that, then we would wire it. This wired metal object we would then install in our electrolytic tank. In the process of electrolysis, what we are actually doing, we are primarily reversing the process of corrosion. Once it has been electrolyzed, it would look something like this. So we would then proceed to brush to remove any loose rust that would be left on it. We would then put the iron object in some pure water, which we call deionized water, and that would be heated to ensure that the metal itself would facilitate the extraction of any impurities that might be left in the body of the iron. After that, we would dry the iron object. Most times we dry it in alcohol, and that would remove the water from the body of the object. And after drying, we would take a substance we call tannic acid, applying several coats, and it would form somewhat a stable surface for the iron object. And then the final stage is waxing to provide a coating or a lacquer on the surface of the iron object. Here we have Mr. Gale. He's actually applying orthophosphoric acid to remove slight rusting or corrosion from the case of a sword. He is actually using what we call a chemical as well as a mechanical means of so doing. We have close to it the extractor system, which is used to remove harmful fumes from the atmosphere in order to make the environment a much healthier one in which and a safer one for us to work. Lead corrodes by forming mainly lead sulfide and lead carbonate. So we would be soaking it first of all in ammonium acetate, and that would basically remove within a few hours the lead carbonate. In order to remove any residue of ammonium acetate that might be left on the lead, we would then rinse it quickly for a short time period. Just rinse it in a bath of a very dilute solution of hydrochloric acid. If there are any corrosion left at that stage, then we would remove that mechanically, either with very likely with a glass bristle brush. After that, we do as we would with the iron. Coming over here now, we have copper or copper material. We have been soaking this copper in a substance we prepare in the lab, which we call alkaline Rochelle salt. The alkaline Rochelle salt will remove from it largely what we call bronze disease. So we soak it in the solution. The chemical will dissolve the bronze disease. After that has been dissolved, then we would rinse in, for example, a dilute solution of sulfuric acid to remove any slight impurities or corrosion product that might be left there. After that, we will, as we do with the other metals, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you were well informed by the information we've imparted today, and you're welcome to join us at any time, particularly at our heritage sites. And when you see our heritage sites, you see the artifacts that are there, you will appreciate to a greater extent the effort that has gone into its preservation.
Our time's up on this station, but we'll be back round about the same time tomorrow. We're always available online. We have a website and pages on all the major social media sites. You may also drop us a line sometime. Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.